I work for Mustard Seed because we reach out to people who, whose lives are in desperate trouble, primarily due to their abuse of drugs and alcohol. And because Mustard Seed, we offer services at a rate that most people can afford. We're probably the least expensive counseling service in the area, which means that we're able to reach people who would otherwise not be able to receive any services. Mustard Seed offers, we have a variety of counselors here. We have substance abuse counselors, anger management counselors, counselors for children, counselors for adults. We do women's counseling, men's counseling, couples counseling, as well as substance abuse counseling. So there's really nobody that we do not serve. We deal with mental health issues like depression, bipolar. I have some clients who have physical problems such as seizures and other brain injuries. We will work with doctors who are prescribing medications and provide the emotional support that they need. So there's nobody that we cannot serve or will not serve. I work with people from teenage up to any age, men and women, who either have a substance abuse issue, are headed that way, or are in relationship with somebody who has a substance abuse problem, or maybe has a process addiction. What a process addiction is codependency, some kind of a compulsive behavior that we use the same therapy that we would use for substance abuse. I've never worked, in my 15 years of working with people with addictions, I've never worked with one who didn't also have codependency issues and some other compulsive behaviors. So it does tie in quite a bit, and it's very prevalent. I think most people have some kind of codependency that can get in the way of effective living. Mustard Seed is impacting the community because we are available to people who can't afford expensive counseling. We're impacting the community because we're offering services that are different from those counseling services that just medicate people with depression or other emotional problems. We actually want to help them get to the root of their problem and give them coping skills so that they don't have to medicate. We also offer them compassion. They're not a number to us, they're people to us. And we work with them any way that we can. And I think that that's important. We're small enough that people are important. And if they can't afford their session this week, I'm not going to turn them away. We're going to meet and they'll pay next week. But just the fact that our costs are a sliding fee scale makes us affordable to people who need us. The number one thing that makes us different is that we put God in the center of everything that we do. It's in the center of who we are as individuals here. We know that we don't have the power in and of ourselves to change lives, and neither do our clients. But with God's help, He can help us find the root of what it is we're numbing, we're self-medicating from. And He gives us the power to overcome those things. I also believe He gives us counselors wisdom and the ability to hear things that maybe we wouldn't otherwise hear. So it's definitely the fact that we are driven spiritually. So often we think of people with substance abuse as those people. They're those people from the other side of the tracks. They're those people who must have been raised in terrible homes. They're those people who are weak-willed, those people who don't care about life or care about other people. What I have discovered is that those people are moms and their dads, and they're somebody's son or daughter. They're somebody's brother or sister or husband or wife. They're people who, just like all of us, have wounds that they don't know how to heal. And so they're doing the only thing they know to do. They're looking for a solution. And for some of them, alcohol and drugs is the solution until the solution becomes a bigger problem. And the reality is that we are those people. We can be them just as easily as anybody else. They're people who love, they're people who care, and they're people whose lives have been stolen by the addiction. There is a fear in our society about reaching out for help. Reaching out for help is not a weakness, it's a strength. Everybody needs help once in a while. Everybody struggles with life once in a while. And it doesn't matter if your problem is substance abuse or relationship problems or any other kind of problem. God created us to need each other. And to have somebody who is trained to help guide others through the process of healing is absolutely huge. Well, for substance abuse, the fate is death. Substance abuse is a terminal disease, and the road to get there is very unpleasant. It usually involves destroyed relationships, destroyed families, jail, all sorts of physical problems, and then eventually it will take their lives in more ways than one, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. Right off the top of my head, I think of a young woman who had a very difficult childhood. There was abuse in her childhood. And as a young teenager, began to abuse medications, even some as benign as ibuprofen, but taking handfuls of them so that she could numb herself from what was going on in her family. It escalated to abusing other over-the-counter meds like cough medicines and so on, and alcohol, and it became very destructive in her life. It actually came to a head when she was in college and was living a double life. She came to me and we started working not only on coping skills for her substance abuse, but also looking at some of the roots of the emotions that were driving her substance abuse. And so we have been working systematically to unravel those, to uncover them, and to help her deal with them and learn how to cope with them differently. I had the pleasure recently of going to a 12-step meeting where she was giving her testimony, and the difference is remarkable. I have another young woman who is a teenager, came to me in a lot of denial. She didn't have a problem as far as she was concerned. And her substance abuse was very much wrapped up in her desire to fit in, to please the people around her. And she had, in essence, lost her voice. She would do whatever her friends were doing and didn't know how to claim herself. So she would get in all kinds of trouble repeatedly. And in spite of being in denial that she really didn't have a problem with marijuana and alcohol, wound up in jail. And when she returned to me for counseling, she got serious. And today, her relationship with her family has been restored. Most importantly, her joy for life. She's now a teenager who's about to graduate high school, who's really excited about going on to college and what God has in store for her in her life. So there are just lots and lots of recovery stories, and the interesting thing, the wonderful thing is that their story is in process. It's not like there's a beginning and there's an end, because as long as we're breathing, we're always growing and discovering what God has for us. We are really important to our community. Our area has an extremely high rate of substance abuse. In fact, not long ago, Habersham County was the second worst community in the nation for meth use. So we have a significant problem in our area. The problem affects all of us. It affects our businesses because it involves people who are in the grip of the bondage of their addiction, tend to steal, they tend to manipulate, and we all pay that price. It costs us $50 a day to house somebody in our local jails. We all pay that price. It affects our school systems because we have children that are going to school that live with active abusers, both physical abuse, mental abuse, as well as substance abuse. And so it affects all of us, from our children to our pocketbooks. And if we can't provide help for people who wouldn't be able to afford it otherwise, that problem will not only continue, but it's going to grow. Mustard Seed is really helping to stop it. We're turning lives around. We're creating productive citizens again. We're creating moms and dads who can be present with their families again. When we can provide services for people and we can help them heal their wounds and thereby stop their substance abuse, they become employable, they become solid parents, they become responsible, they're going back to college, they're going back to school, they're starting businesses, they're enriching our community. But Mustard Seed can't do it without the support, the financial support of the community, the prayer support of the community, and even the physical support. There's lots of things that need to be done that we can use volunteers, but primarily we need the financial support, because the only way that we can offer our services at the low rate that we do is through the financial support of our community.